What's up, everybody? My name is Tucker. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Kyrie Irving. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like rating on it and subscribe to the channel as well for more videos just like this one every single day. With those things said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so we talked about this a couple of days ago. Earlier in the week, there were some rumors, some reports that Kyrie was progressing towards potentially returning to the Nets. We didn't know in what capacity. We didn't know the timeline of all that. We didn't know what Kyrie's situation was going to be once he returned, but he was speaking more to Kevin Durant, speaking more to the team, and it seemed like we're on a path towards Kyrie returning to Brooklyn. And yesterday, the way the notifications went down was a little bit weird because I can't remember who it was. I think it was Shams first. I got a notification from Shams that was saying that the Nets are bringing back Kyrie Irving and Kyrie's returning to the team. And that was it. And I was like, oh, sweet. He's going to be a full-time player. We've moved past this whole situation. Kyrie can return and we can see what this team looks like mostly put together once Joe Harris comes back fully healthy. Then a little bit later on, we get some more notifications. Kyrie Irving is going to be a part-time player for the Brooklyn Nets. Someone can look this up for me and tell me if this has ever happened before where there's been a player that just doesn't play in all of his team's games. I can't imagine that that's ever happened before when it has nothing to do with injury or suspension. But, you know, that's kind of the moral of 2020 and 2021, right? It's just new things that are unprecedented just continue to occur. And so we're going to talk about the basketball ramifications of this and just the whole situation in general with Kyrie coming back to the Nets as a part-time player. So first things first, when we talked about this earlier in the week, I was completely wrong about this. I thought that if Kyrie was going to return, it was not going to be because the city of New York changed their rules, and it was not going to be because the Nets changed their mind on their stance on Kyrie being a part-time versus a full-time player. I thought Kyrie was going to return to the team as a full-time player. That obviously is not the case, and there's a variety of different reasons for why Brooklyn, for lack of a better term, caved on their stance as of having Irving as a part-time player. The first being, I do think that this is a path towards Kyrie becoming a full-time player for the Nets, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but in a more immediate sense, obviously the team is struggling with a lot of different things. Their record is fine, but KD's playing too many minutes. Harden was playing too many minutes when he was playing. They're missing guys because of protocol stuff. Joe Harris has been hurt for a while. They're playing basketball games with like 8 or 9 guys. And even if it is only for road games, having another player and having a player specifically as talented as Kyrie Irving helps in that capacity. Again, not only when it comes to, you know, when you don't have your full complement of players, but also if you have a road back-to-back and you want to rest KD or Harden or both on the front end of that or the back end of that, you can play Kyrie and still have a chance of winning the basketball game. That's one of the problems for the Nets right now amongst a handful with their current roster is, for example, they play the Orlando Magic today. No disrespect to Orlando. It's the front end of a back-to-back. They're playing Denver tomorrow. Normally, if you had your full complement of players, you would rest at least one of KD, Harden, or Kyrie if they had all been playing for the entirety of the season against Orlando. No disrespect to them. It's not really an option right now for a couple of different reasons. 1, Harden's not available to play. 2, Kyrie's not available to play. 3, you might not have enough basketball players on the floor or to field a team if you don't play KD. So KD just has to continue to play. I don't think he's played a back-to-back yet this year. Would he play the back-to-back? I don't know. But that's just one of the many reasons why you would potentially want Kyrie to come back is because of, which was mentioned in the article yesterday, the, just way too many minutes being played by Kevin Durant specifically and James Harden as well. Now, this is obviously a weird situation because, to be clear, for those of you that either didn't read the article or aren't fully aware of what's going on, Kyrie cannot play in home Nets games. There is a mandate in the city of New York that basically states that you cannot be in Barclays Center if you are in the situation that Kyrie's in. So he can practice at the team facility. He can travel on the road with the team and play away games, but he cannot play home games, thus his status as a part-time player. Now, maybe I'm being overly optimistic about this, but to me, this reads as Kyrie's returning to the team. They have to see what kind of shape he's in, reintegrate him into the team, probably return sometime in January. And hopefully in the long term, this is going to end up being something where Kyrie does become a full-time player. Because when I think about the trajectory of the Nets season and where all of this is going, the idea of Kyrie not playing in a single home game for the entirety of the regular and the postseason would just be, I can't imagine that scenario, especially once he's with the team. Like if he just sat the whole season, that I could see. But for him to be with the team, playing with the team in road games, and then not playing in home games, like for example, ideally, Brooklyn is going to be a championship contender, a team that's going to be playing in big time home games in the playoffs, game 5s, game 7s, things like that. Is Kyrie just not going to play in those home games? Because you'd almost rather play a game 7 on the road at that point and have your full complement of players than play at home and not have Kyrie available to play. And that just scratches the surface of how weird and how complicated the situation is. But because of that weirdness, because of that complication, I have to believe that at some point Kyrie's going to be a full-time player for the Nets and be able to play in home games. Now, if there was a player in the entirety of the league that would actually go through with this for the entire season and only play away games and not play home games and stick to what Kyrie is stuck to for the entire time, it would be Kyrie Irving. If there was one player that was going to do that, it would be him. And so I wouldn't be like out of my mind shocked if that is how it went down. But this to me feels like another step in the progression towards Kyrie becoming a full-time player. There's obviously a lot of things that go into that, but ultimately I think that's where we're heading here. And obviously from a basketball perspective, that's hugely helpful for Brooklyn. We talked about this in the video earlier in the week. Not only would it help you in the regular season kind of manage the minutes of these guys, but also from a spacing perspective, which Brooklyn has actually not been all that good of a spacing team since Joe Harris got hurt. Obviously, having Kyrie out there would help. The second unit will be much better because you don't have to just rely on Harden. I think Harden will be better because he doesn't have to do as much in this scenario. And obviously, having a scorer and a player as talented as Kyrie Irving back on the team is going to be massively helpful for Brooklyn. So in terms of the timeline for this, we're a week away from Christmas today as of the uploading of this video. So I can't imagine that Kyrie is going to make his debut in LA on Christmas Day, just because there's protocols and there's procedures that he has to go through to be prepared and ready to play for Brooklyn. They haven't seen him in a while. He hasn't been practicing with the team. He hasn't been working out with the team. They have to see what kind of shape he's in, how ready he is to play. I mean, I would presume he's pretty close to being ready to play, but for him to turn around and play within a week of all this, to me, seems unlikely. It is logistically possible within the protocols that are set out within the league. However, I do think it would be surprising. So sometime in the new year, I'm thinking we could see Kyrie playing in some of these road games. Again, he can only play in those road games. It would be cool. It would be nice if he could play on Christmas Day, because that slate of Christmas Day games is looking awful right now. I mean, the Lakers are dealing with protocol stuff. The Nets are dealing with a ton of different guys being out. They might be back by the time Christmas rolls around. All the other, Giannis is in protocols right now. They're supposed to play on Christmas Day. If you look at the schedule, it's like half the teams are missing significant players, which is, that's pretty much just the status and the state of the whole league at this point. But at the end of the day, this is absolutely good news for Brooklyn. I'm surprised that they changed their stance on it being a part-time player, and I think it's just kind of a convenient excuse in terms of, the circumstances around the team. Obviously, they would rather just have all their guys fully healthy and ready to go, but it's something they can point to and say, hey, this is why we changed our mind. The players want it. Kyrie wants to come back, and we need bodies. We need guys that can play. And so him being a part-time player is just something that we're going to have to give into and allow at this point. But again, I would imagine and I would guess, with absolutely no actual info on the situation, that at some point this is going to lead towards Kyrie Irving rejoining the Brooklyn Nets as a full-time member of the team, whether that be because he changes his situation, because the city changes their rules, combination of both, whatever the case may be. I think we all know at this point, especially in the States, that this is an evolving situation within the NBA, NFL, the world in general. And a lot of rules are going to change over the next couple of months, and it's just going to continually be a thing we're going to have to deal with. And so this situation is by no means done. It's by no means solved. But from a basketball perspective specifically, I think we're like 40% there in terms of getting Kyrie back and ready to go for Brooklyn for hopefully a pretty significant postseason push. But that is going to be the end of today's video, and I thank you guys very much for watching. Once again, my name is Tucker. If you missed any of my previous videos, be sure to check out the boxes on screen, and as I said, subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this every single day. Once again, my name is Tucker. Hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Saturday, and I will see you all next time.